Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Montserrat's premier to contest next month's polls as an independent candidate. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Friday, October 25th from the CMC News Center in Bridgetown. I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. Montserrat's premier Donaldson Romeo will be going it alone in next month's general elections. He's announced that he will contest the polls as an independent candidate and not as a member of the ruling People's Democratic Movement, PDM, which he led up until earlier this month. Romeo was ousted as PDM leader on October 8th, less than 24 hours after he announced November 18th as election day in the British Overseas Territory. He was replaced as leader by Communications, Works and Energy and Labour Minister Paul Lewis during an internal election. The Premier on Thursday promised to continue to serve the people of Montserrat with passion and confidence as he announced his decision not to run under the PDM banner.
This may come as a surprise to many, but it has been taken after much reflection, prayer and analysis in light of several developments over the last week. At the same time, I'm convinced that my mission is not over. Accordingly, I must share with you, my gracious supporters and well-wishers, my intention to proceed as a candidate in the upcoming elections. I'm therefore compelled to issue this public statement, one that will be shared with the various media houses so as to reduce misconceptions that may circulate. My mission is not finished, and I am determined to act as always in the continued best interest of the people of Montserrat.
Over in Dominica, opposition supporters took to the streets on Friday during the annual Creole Day celebrations, defying a police ban on illegal demonstrations as they demanded the resignation of Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit and the chairman of the Electoral Commission. United Workers' Party UWP leader Lennox Linton said he delivered a letter to the office of President Charles Savarin asking him to secure the resignation of Skerrit as Prime Minister or have him removed from office on the grounds of gross misconduct. Linton said while he had not been granted an audience with the head of state, he left the correspondence with security at the front gate of the president's residence. The opposition also delivered a letter and petition to the Electoral Commission addressed to the chairman, Gerald Burton, calling for his resignation. Earlier, Police Commissioner Daniel Carbon had said the opposition did not have any authority to stage the protest march in the capital and warns people against breaking the island's laws. Carbon stressed that anybody or organization wanting to have a march, protest, demonstration or procession should write to the Chief of Police 3 days prior to the activity. And he said he had not received any such request from the UWP and the activity was therefore unlawful. However, the march was allowed to go on. Ghana's opposition leader Barrett Jagdeo is urging the chair of the Ghana Elections Commission, GCOM, Justice Claudette Singh, to make an urgent decision to put in place an independent international oversight team of the electoral body. He says he believes it's necessary to have an independent group that has no stake in the election to offer advice to the chairman to preserve the integrity of the electoral system ahead of general and regional elections next March.
I believe that Justice Singh served the country well as a judge, and I believe I continue to believe she has great integrity. What I believe is that she has to understand that this is not the court. When you're a judge, and you make a decision, you expect people to your staff to faithfully carry out the decision or a ruling. That in GCOM, it has become almost like a political machinery, and that people who come and chat with you, they may have ulterior motives. And therefore, you have to get into the technical details of what is being discussed, and also stay on top of what is being issued by GCOM to see that it faithfully represents the views of the organization and not individuals.
Lawmakers in Jamaica are raising questions about the island's witness protection program after a case against the notorious gang was thrown out when a key witness, a former member of the gang, disappeared. The matter came up at a sitting of the Joint Select Committee that is reviewing anti-gang legislation. We get more in this report from TVJ News.
Lawmakers were reviewing the Criminal Justice Suppression of Criminal Organizations Act, better known as the anti-gang legislation. The Dexter Street gang case did not escape their attention. 19 members of the Westmoreland-based gang were set free this week. The case collapsed on Tuesday after the main witness failed to show up in court, forcing the prosecution to enter nolle prosequi. Committee members questioned why more was not done to protect the witness.
I'm not sure if that witness has been killed or by what means. And the whole question arises, why was that witness not protected adequately as a key witness in a major prosecution of a major gang?
Committee Chairman and National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang argued that in this particular case, the witness did not accept witness protection. He also pointed out that it is worth exploring whether the witness protection program needs to be more attractive.
I don't know if we need to look at how we operate the witness protection program to make it more attractive in association with plea bargaining. It may be worthwhile looking at it. It's not something where the legislator would expect, but some work has to be done in that area.
Senior Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions, Jeremy Taylor, suggested that there's a need for a review of the witness protection program.
It is only law-abiding people that the witness protection will take on. If you have a charge or if you're suspected of being charged, witness protection is not eager to take you on. In many cases, the police have had to find their own solutions, police to police, either here and abroad, in terms of protecting the witnesses outside of the formal witness protection system.
How you can have an entire gang matter turning on a single witness,
and you have
knowing the rules of evidence, knowing the procedure,
and
it collapses. No,
He said this matter involved a collection of cold cases in the Westmoreland Police Division, several incidents in which nobody identified who the perpetrators were.
The only person who connected the persons to these incidents was the one witness, who was a former member of the gang. And if I recall my little reading of this file, had lost every family member to that gang, which is what motivated him to come forward to testify.
The National Security Minister says he takes the concerns raised seriously.
The Antigua and Barbuda government says it will sell 10% of its shares in the West Indies Oil Company to the public. The government recently acquired 51% in the company, and the Gaston Brown administration has decided to reduce its shareholding to 41%. We get more in this ABS News report.
The Brown-led administration became majority shareholder in West Indies Oil Company through a landmark acquisition deal in 2015. Since then, the government has collected millions of dollars in dividend payments. Chief of Staff in the Prime Minister's office, Ambassador Lionel Hurst, says the administration will now fulfill a promise to share the company's profits with Antiguans and Barbudans.
The way to do it is to sell some of the shares. So we want to lower our holdings in it by selling off around 10% of the total shares of the firm.
Ambassador Hurst says the shares will not be offered for sale on the regional government securities market, since the government wants to limit the number of shares any one investor can buy.
The system we are going to use will allow for you to go into, say, a bank and say, I want to purchase $100,000 worth of WEOC shares, or $10,000 worth of WEOC shares. And there very likely will be some ceiling. But
Ambassador Hurst could not immediately quote the company's total number of shares. He says a valuation will be done to determine their cost.
Dengue cases in Belize on the decline after a major spike earlier in the year. We'll be back with the details of that story and more.
Hi, I'm Brittany Dixon, and you're watching Finding Fit, the show where I pair up one client with two trainers. Trainer number one.
Oh my gosh.
It's about fitness, comedy.
You know, I can do this all day, you know.
Drama.
In future, we cannot be late.
Inspirational stories, and so much more. You are gonna love it. You can catch Finding Fit prime time this fall on CaribVision.
As a small business owner, you have to make sure your technology is available and operational at all times. But what happens when your network crashes, your email goes down, or your user systems get a virus? You may try to fix the issue yourself, but you can end up making the problem a lot worse. At Digital Networking Solutions, we're more than just people who try to fix your computers. We monitor, maintain, and support your IT systems so that you can focus on growing your business to its fullest potential. When you sign up for one of our IT support plans, we get familiar with your IT environments beforehand, so we can manage it proactively as if it were our own. Your business deserves the best IT services available to ensure it functions to its maximum efficiency. So give us a try today. Email or call us, and we will give you a free network assessment to determine whether now is the time for your small business to adopt Digital Networking Solutions for a smoother, more reliable network experience.
Health authorities in Belize are reporting a decline in the number of dengue fever cases. Director of Health Services, Dr. Marvin Manzanero, did not disclose the current number, but said last week's figure was the lowest in the last 8 weeks. The number rose to more than 2,700 last month. Health authorities reported an outbreak of the mosquito-borne illness in July. They said at the time that the number of cases for the first 7 months of the year was more than twice that for all of 2018. In September, the Office of the Director of Health Services reported that up to week 34, there were 2,272 cases. Well, Dominica celebrates its Creole culture, and the Hindu community celebrates Diwali. Michael Williams has the details in this week's Newsline Entertainment.
Full display on Friday as nationals paraded through the streets of the capital, Roseau, in full national wear or some variation of it. What was the occasion? It was Creole Day, which is observed on the last Friday in October every year. It is a celebration of the island's culture, music, and cuisine. Creole is also spoken in St. Lucia, French Guiana, Martinique, Guadeloupe, St. Martin, and Haiti. Friday night is also the start of the World Creole Music Festival, which runs until October 27. In a message posted to his Facebook page, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit said, like the rest of the country, he is also looking forward to the weekend's festivities.
Independence time is around. The Creole Festival tonight just concluded. Creole in the Park, which went very well. The country is bubbling. The country is bustling with activities, excitement. We have thousands and thousands of visitors to our country, in addition to many of our family and friends and citizens returning home as usual to celebrate this year's independence. So it's been very exciting. We look forward to the Creole Festival tonight. I expect to see a bumper crowd at the stadium. I believe just on the ferry terminal alone for the ferry, for this weekend we expect about 6,000 people coming in from the French islands, which is a huge number. And of course, you know, the French have been very supportive of us today, the Martinique and Guadeloupe. Some countries are shy Messi, Messi, and of course our patrons from all over the Caribbean and the world will be coming.
Trinidad celebrated Diwali Nagar this week. It is an annual celebration of Hindu culture as well as Indo-Trinidadian culture. Diwali Nagar is also associated with Diwali, the festival of lights. It is a celebration of light over darkness, the triumph of good over evil, and knowledge over ignorance. The president of Trinidad's National Council of Indian Culture highlighted the importance of keeping that aspects of the country's culture alive.
It has always been the aim of the NCIC to educate the Indo-Trinidadian and the wider community of our country of the greatness of our culture, of our fathers, and the need to learn, preserve, and propagate for fear of losing it all. For losing it all would be the greatest tragedy to befall the Indo-Trinidadian community. Thanks to organizations like the Mahasabha, the NCIC, and so many other like organizations, the culture of the Indo-Trinidadian has largely survived and been consolidated after the struggles during our almost 175 years of arrival to this country.
Mary-Claire Williams, Newsline Entertainment.
Ahead in sport, Reggae Boys back in the top 3 in the CONCACAF region. The details when we return. Stay with us.
In Tobago, the name Martha Archer is almost synonymous with the word netball. The Bonaccord native has been involved in the sport for decades, starting as a player at age 9 before branching off into administration. Mrs. Archer served as the second vice president of the Americas Federation of Netball Association's regional body for 24 years. For her devotion and commitment to advancing the sport in Trinidad and Tobago,
it was the Girls Town edition, and Ghost performed his biggest hits. Let's check out the highlights from Mellow Vibes.
moved up 2 places on the latest FIFA World Rankings to 45, the highest position it has been in 8 years, and they're now 3rd in the CONCACAF region. TVJ's Karen Madden reports.
Their jump comes after consecutive victories over Aruba in League B of the CONCACAF Nations League earlier this month. The move sees Jamaica now 3rd in CONCACAF after overtaking Costa Rica, who slipped to 47th after 2 straight draws against Haiti and Curacao in League A. It's the first time since 2011 that the nation is in the top 3 in the region. JFF President Michael Ricketts believes there's more to come from the boys.
And this goes to show that the football is in very competent and capable hands, and the sky is the limit. I want to congratulate Coach Whitmore and the technical staff. We are heading to our final 2 Nations League games. Those games will hopefully continue to propel us up the ladder. We want to win these and win them convincingly as we aim to stay in the top 6 leading to the hexagonal stage of the World Cup qualifiers.
Mexico lead the way in the region at 11th in the world, while the United States are 2nd and 23rd in the world. Jamaica will need to remain in the top 6 in CONCACAF by the June 2020 edition of the FIFA rankings to be seeded in the hexagonal round of the 2022 World Cup qualifiers. Here, Jamaica will fight for one of 3 automatic berths. If the country fails to stay in the top 6, they will have to play up to 14 games to fight for only an intercontinental playoff spot. The Reggae Boys will next be in action in November against Antigua and Barbuda and Guyana.
Cricket West Indies CWI President Ricky Skerritt has been appointed a member of the newly formed International Cricket Council Governance Working Group set up to consider the future governance structure of the world governing body for the sport. Skerritt is also a member of the ICC Human Resource and Development Committees. He said serving as a member of the ICC Working Group gives him the opportunity to learn and share ideas at the highest level of world cricket administration and to return to the Caribbean with some best practices in the CWI's governance reform quest. The working group, of which he is part, will be chaired by Earl Eddings from Cricket Australia and will also include Greg Barclay of New Zealand Cricket, Tony Bryan of Cricket Scotland, Isan Mani from the Pakistan Cricket Board, and Chris Nenzani of Cricket South Africa. Windsor Park in Dominica is set to return as a venue for West Indies' home schedule next year when it hosts 2 limited overs fixtures on the New Zealand tour, as the region braces for a heavy itinerary which will also see tours by South Africa and Ireland. The venue suffered damage when the Category 5 Hurricane Maria devastated Dominica 2 years ago, leaving hundreds of millions of dollars in damage and more than 30 people dead. It had its last taste of international cricket in 2017 when Pakistan beat West Indies on a dramatic final day of the last test. Having returned to the domestic schedule this year when it staged a first-class match between Windward Islands Volcanoes and Leeward Islands Hurricanes in February, the venue will play host to 1 ODI and a T20 International. 1 of 11 West Indies are expected to play ahead of the T20 World Cup in Australia. While those matches are included in a 3-year home fixtures cycle, which was announced by CWI on Friday, the West Indies teams in all formats will play matches in all the main venues across the Caribbean and will also host all the major international teams between January 2020 and August 2022. Next year, Ireland, New Zealand and South Africa will visit the West Indies, followed by Sri Lanka, Australia and Pakistan in 2021. In 2022, Ireland will make a return and the regional side will also face England, Bangladesh and India on home turf. The West Indies men play 11 test matches in the ICC World Test Championship games, 20 ODIs and 36 T20Is at home. The women's team will also have an intense calendar of matches and camps as they prepare for the ICC Women's World Cup, which will be played in New Zealand in 2021. In the build-up to the biggest event in women's cricket, the West Indies will focus their energies on the 50-over format. Later this month, they will host India, and they will also host South Africa at home in May 2020. Overall, they're expected to play a minimum of 15 ODIs, home and away, in the lead-up to the marquee event. Still in cricket, Jamaica Scorpions head coach Andre Coley is satisfied with how preparations are going with his team ahead of the regional Super 50, which bowls off in just under 2 weeks. More from TVJ's Renardo Brown.
Newly appointed Scorpions coach Jamaican Andre Coley is confident the preparations put in so far will be enough to make the team competitive in the regional Super 50 tournament, which bowls off on November 6.
We are quite confident that we have put in enough work so far in all areas, all departments. At the moment, we're just fine-tuning. Next week will give us an opportunity to play a couple of practice matches, just to try some of the strategies that we want to put in place, get players practicing in the different roles that we want them to be performing in. Yeah, and we should be okay.
But what are the areas being worked on?
I think we have always been an explosive team. In other words, we're a boundary scoring team. And generally, that's probably the same of most Caribbean teams. So we've tried to put some work in rotating the strike, being more proactive against our spinners. We've added 1 or 2 skill sets in terms of our ability to play spin. That is something that's going to be ongoing. That is something that will probably take a year to 2 years, but we're starting to sow those seeds. And just our aggressive running between the wickets. Sometimes we tend to be sluggish in that area. And then just working on our ability to bowl in the death overs or the latter part of the innings, maybe adding a couple of variations here and there.
Nikita Miller, who called time on his regional career earlier this year, will be Coley's assistant. And with the team having not lifted the regional Super 50 title since 2011, believes the team stands a good chance.
You know, since Coach Coley came in, we've been doing a lot of skill development and stuff. So I think that we're in a good place. When we look at the performances on the weekends, it's up and down. But we even in the practice games, there are some good signs that we can build on going into the competition.
The Scorpions will depart the island on November 4 with their opening game of the competition coming on November 7.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back. Again, the major developments of this day. Montserrat's Premier Donaldson Romeo to contest next month's polls as an independent candidate. And in sport, Jamaica moves up 2 places on the latest FIFA World Rankings to 45 and is now number 3 behind Mexico and the United States in the CONCACAF region. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, subscribe to CanadaNews.com, and for more of our programming, log on to CaribVision.tv and check out our YouTube channel. We'll be back here again on Monday, but from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night and a safe and blessed weekend.